All right. Let's get our engineer together. Engineer, get it together. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. Welcome to another edition of Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man. I am your host, Brother Jackie Muhammad. Jock Nation is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, and it's Jock Brothers time. We have an awesome show for you tonight. It's power packed. We have some brilliant sisters on tonight to help us all understand motherhood. So before we get into our guests, we want to introduce some powerful brothers who I have the pleasure of being a part of this group with. This one brother I'm going to introduce, he just crossed the milestone. He has made it. We are so proud that he's almost to the end zone. He has made it to the middle of the field. This our brother and your brother, Brother Ahmed B.R. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, praise be to Allah. My name is Brother Ahmed. I'm your brother. I'm the founder of Hope Equals Life, mentor of young men. We out here just trying to get the word across. Thank you all for joining on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this other brother I'm about to bring on, this is a native Atlantean. He's not a Braves fan, though, unfortunately, or Heat fan. He was just born here, but he's a beautiful brother who I have the pleasure of meeting when I moved here, and we have hit it off very fine. So this brother here, I want to introduce Brother Kawi.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man. I'm excited about this topic tonight. Motherhood, something that we don't talk about much. Again, we got some brilliant, and I put the capital B on that word. Guest tonight. I see you, Sister Anita. Please, everybody, get ready. Pull your, get your pad out, your pens. Let's take some notes. Now, for the Jock Nation, I appreciate you always tuning in each and every week to support us. I mean, you see us striving and trying. Continue to support us each and every week as we continue to bring topics to the table that can help you be a better you. And for all of those that has ever donated even a penny to our platform, we thank you so much for that. And if you want to continue to donate to the Jock Brothers platform, please look at the information that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Our Cash App information, that's the best. That's the way to get any type of funds to us.
That's right.
Is through our Cash App, $ Jock Bros. Let me say it again. $ JAKQ BROS. Again, Jock Brothers, we taking on a whole lot of tasks. One of the tasks we're taking on is our prison initiative. We're trying to put the Final Call newspaper behind prisons to help promote unity and brotherhood behind the prison walls. And of course, to get the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad behind bars, as so demonstrated by our big brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So please donate to that initiative. I mean, we did the pricing. We called the general manager. The pricing of it is $18 to have the Final Call sent to somebody, to a brother of ours for 90 days. For $30 for 6 months, or for $60 an entire year of the subscription of the Final Call. So far, everything has been flowing very smooth. Oh, we do have one issue though. We don't know a whole lot of people that's behind bars. So if you can help us with the information to send to a particular person, that'll be a big help to us. The way you get that information to us is to send that information to jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. It's at the bottom of the screen. jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. Let's put the Final Call behind bars, family. Let's help our brothers. That's what I got, Brother Jackie. Stick off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, brothers and sisters. Like I said earlier, we have a beautiful panel of guests that we would like to introduce. I'm going to start off on the bios, and I want you to be patient with me because I have 4. So let's be patient. Let's start with our sister Tidra X. She is a mother of 4, ranging from 21 to 5, 16-year gap. I mean, that's some serious arguments. The wife of 6 years to our brother Marcus Muhammad. She has a plethora of gifts and skill sets that she used to inspire, teach, and heal those who she encountered. She is the CEO of Muhammad's Palace, which is her home. And that is a full-time job.
Yes, it is.
Sister Teacher X, how you doing, my sister?
Assalamu alaikum. I am well, by Allah's grace. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, CEO. We happy to have you.
Thank you.
All right, we want to start with our sister Cecilia, who is a normally a twin team, but brother wasn't invited. I know. So our sister Cecilia, who is married to our brother Marcus Muhammad for 28 years. Wow. I'm sorry. Oh, she is the manager of Chime Solution Company. She's also an independent consultant for Immunitech. Is it Immunitech? Is that correct? Immunitech. Okay. Research and distributes the magnificent product. She hosts a bi-weekly internet webinar to strengthen both couples, single brothers and sisters. Sister Cecilia also provides marriage counseling to many people throughout the nation and our community. She is the mother of 6 very active children, and she also is an auditor. She also hosts the yearly marriage retreat. She is a facilitator for the event, and she also hosts marriage workshops and single success workshops. So, with a Jock Nation round of applause, let us welcome our sister once again, Sister Cecilia. Alaikum, sister.
Thank you.
Okay, praise be to Allah. Now we're gonna move. We're going over to Houston. Our sister Wakiti, yes, please help me. Wakiti Muhammad. She's the co-founder of Elevated Places, a school that I have watched for many years that I am very proud of, and I love the school. Originally from New Orleans, she began her career as a certified teacher in inner city schools, earning her BA in elementary education from Southern University. In 2005, she relocated to Houston, Texas, after her family home was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. In Houston, she moved into a private education, vowing to further the vision and education program of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Sister Wakita works to help others bring their creativity, vision, business idea to fruition through her company, the Teacher CEO Project. As a wife, mother, and educator, Sister Wakiti stressed the importance of a paradigm shift in education that properly prepares students for global leadership and independence of thoughts. Welcome to the Jock Brothers platform once again, Sister Wakiti. Wakiti, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
He from Florida. You got to see.
Yeah, we geeky. This called geeky. Welcome to our platform, my sister. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm fine, by Allah's grace. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And last but not least, my big sister, Sister Anita Muhammad, joined the nation in 1981 at Temple number 7 in New York City. And she moved to Richmond, Virginia to take care of her ailing mother. And we're talking about motherhood. Then she moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 1990. As an MGT, she has held several NOI positions. Her favorite is Junior MGT Coordinator. My favorite is Junior FOI Coordinator. That's why I got my pictures back here. In 1992, Sister Anita, along with her husband of 40 years, Brother Kenny, started a fundamental academy, a daycare, a preschool, which later evolved into a homeschool and presently renamed Blackstone Academy, which my children attend, a private school servicing K through 12th grades. Former public school educator, daycare provider, and social worker, she was taught at a young age that our values help us navigate our way through life. She holds a BS in sociology and early childhood education and a minor in business administration from St. John's University. She is also a member of the American Business Women Association. She has 4 children: Joshua, Frederica, Amira, and Camila. So let's welcome once again to the Jock Brothers Show, Sister Anita.
Thank you so very much, sir. All praises
Yes,
to
ma'am.
Allah.
Well, I'm gonna start with you, Sister Anita. We are dealing with motherhood.
Yes, sir.
And I'm wondering, could this be taught in school?
I believe that it definitely can be taught in school. It could be a component of maybe health in school, but you have to have the right teachers. That's important. Those teachers have to have one thing. Before I even start speaking, I want to definitely say in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. And I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. And that Muhammad is his messenger.
Absolutely.
I say first. And definitely I greet you again with the greetings of peace and paradise. But to answer your question, Brother Jackie, yes, it is something that could be taught in every school. But you have to have the right teachers. Those teachers that have the knowledge of themselves, those teachers who put God first in all that they do, God-centered environment, and it can be.
That's important. Okay, so we're gonna start. This is an open question. Anyone can chime in if you would like. Motherhood. What does motherhood mean to you? Anyone?
Anyone? Sister.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is indeed his messenger and servant. I would like to greet our beloved listening audience and family in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I definitely echo exactly what my beloved sister Anita Muhammad just said. And I also would like to paint the picture of something that people hear all the time and why it's so important for what she just said to be a foundation for motherhood, because the hand that rules the cradle rocks the world. A nation can rise no higher than its woman. These are not just slogans, but the belief is that the mind of the mother is what cultivate, and that is the first teacher of the children. So that mother has to have a personal relationship with God or a spiritual something that she gravitates to her creator. Because again, the job, the responsibility of being a mother, you are producing an individual for society. And not just for society, but for the world. And like you just said of my sister Wakiti about being global, being international, all of that starts in our home. So again, it has to be a foundation of God, of having that. That is a main ingredient. And I would definitely say becoming a registered Muslim in the nation, by Allah's grace, for me, 30 years. August of this year, and I came in at the age of 19. And I would say to anyone listening that you need a foundation that connects you to your creator so that we can produce different children than what we are seeing today.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, absolutely. So now, for those who are not a part of the Nation of Islam, and may not have a spiritual development. So does being raised with a mother, does that alone gives you the necessary qualifications, or do you always need more help? Like it's always said, like as fathers, we when we feel that all the time, like it's pressure, you got to get some help. You need to talk with somebody, you need to figure out what you're going to do. You need to speak with somebody. Is that the same case with mother, or is it, or we just assuming it is? I don't know if you understand the question. Do you all understand the question?
Yes, I was waiting
okay.
for someone else to speak.
No, jump
to
in.
Call them out, Jackie.
I don't want to call them just yet because I know I want to just jump in, Sister Cecilia, please.
Well, I would definitely say like we're taught, we have to be taught everything. Okay. So because we have to be taught everything, just because we give birth to a child does not mean we are equipped to raise that child. Okay. We need help. You need your community. You need your family. You need someone to help you. I can say for myself, my help was my MGT class. Because I was married at age 19. That's the Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization class that we have on Saturdays for the women all over the United States and the world. And that class was so vital in my development, which helped me to be so vital in rearing my children. So to answer your question, we cannot rely on our own knowledge. We have to get help from our environment. And if our environment is not conducive, then look and reach out to someone to help us to do what we need to do as a mother, as a father, any role in our life. We can find help to help us in our situation.
Right.
Okay. Sister Wakiti, I see you shaking your hand. Would you like to add something to that?
No, I don't have anything to say at this time. I agree wholeheartedly with Sister Cecilia.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. As a facilitator at a school, you find yourself now becoming a mother for more than just your own children. You're a mother now for that time period. What do you see where we as a community can do better to help in those roles? Because it takes a village. It takes a village, and we all have to pitch in some type of way. So what can we do better as a community maybe to help take the pressure off mothers?
Oh, that's a different type of question. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the most merciful God. Assalamu alaikum, family. And again, thank you all for the invite. What can the community do to help mothers more? In the study guides, we were talking about this maybe about 2 weeks ago in study group. And the conversation was about how love, of course, always should anticipate need. And when we have a level of concern and consideration for people, we can service them better. I think just as he said it decades ago, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the most disrespected person on this earth is the Black woman. And I wholeheartedly agree. And of course, because she becomes a mother, now she has an additional responsibility, as Sister Cecilia says, and not just as an educator and a teacher, but no matter what profession you're in. If you're a woman, you're a mother in that environment. Wherever you are, if you stand there, you're in the role of mother, where you have children or not. You're always nurturing, you're always catering to, because that's what women do. That's our role. That's our nature. That's what we were born to do. So the biggest thing to me that the community can do as a whole is be extremely considerate of the 75%. We laugh all the time when, if there's two working parents, a mom can come home and the first thing she does is she goes straight to the kitchen. She's preparing dinner, she's helping with homework and that type of thing. As soon as a father comes home, he's sitting on the sofa with the remote control in hand, ready. So sometimes there's a complete disregard, because we've been doing it for so long, of what she has to endure on a consistent basis, because we've just developed a bandwidth in order to handle it all. But to be more considerate and conscious of all that she has to endure helps to lighten the load. The old aphorism says, if everybody does a little, then one person doesn't have to do a lot.
Okay. Excellent. Go ahead, Brother Kyle.
Let me get in there. y'all, when it comes to celebrating the mothers and the father, y'all win every time. We don't get celebrated like your mothers.
We get a big piece of chicken, brother. What you mean?
Right. We get socks. We get the home cooked meal. Y'all get the restaurant. There is clearly a disconnect between the fathers and the children, or connection between mothers and the children that the fathers has yet to figure out. What can we do? I mean, what are you doing in particular to build those relationships with your children that I guess fathers could improve on, so we can get or strive to get those relationships too? Let's start off with you, Sister T. Oh, you want to go, Sister Nita? Go ahead.
No. Go or I was just gonna. You wanted Sister Ted to go? Can I speak?
Go ahead, Sister T. Let's get your blood going now, Sister T.
So, okay. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is indeed his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family. So for me, the first thing that came to mind when you asked the first question, actually, Brother Jackie, is teach and train. Very simple, but very true and very deep. It's not something that is, fast, or you have to be patient. I'll put it that way. And in the teaching and the training part, because again, as mothers, regardless of how many children you have, you're always learning. Even as a mother, you're always learning. And I heard the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, talk about grandparents and why they are the way they are towards children, their grandchildren. I know I can bear witness that, it's like, well, wait a minute, mommy and daddy didn't do me like that. They were mean, but they're very, very, very patient and sweet, and gotta let them get away with everything. Right. And he was explaining, because that is kind of like they're able to kind of have a do-over, that's like their second chance. And so they're a little more lenient on things, and they've grown and they've learned. And so just as a mother, and in that question, our nature, us as women, we're nurturers. It's in our very nature. So that alone, not to mention, of course, the way that, we give life. We're the mothers of civilization. So without the woman, none of us would be here. That right there is a very distinct and a very heavy relationship that you have with your children. It's not to say that fathers will not have a deep relationship with children, or with their children, but it's something special about the mother's relationship. And now this is coming from a so-called daddy's girl. Okay. So, you have those that are crazy about their fathers. However, it is something different that's put in the nature of the woman that connects with their offspring. And I think that, I know that that's important. That is the difference between the mother and the father. As my sister Alicia, as well as Sister Wakita stated, is just support from the men, whether it's father or not, support from the men in the community. It is a great burden lifter for some of the things that, a mother has to endure, a woman has to endure on a daily basis. So that's what I would like to share, and I thank you.
Absolutely. Sister Nita, you had something.
Well, Sister said very much what I was thinking. And when she brought up two things I really enjoy, and I didn't mention that I also have 6 grandchildren. So I can totally relate to what Sister Tedra is saying in reference to how I actually treat my grandchildren opposed to how I treated my 4 children. I also wanted to agree with her because definitely we're taught that by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and of course through Minister Louis Farrakhan, that a woman does not fully understand herself and her full potential until she is with child, and not necessarily biologically birthing a child, but having someone to care for. So I definitely agree with Sister Tedra. I also feel that it's vital that we teach our children to build that relationship with God, that higher being. Even if you celebrate the ancestors, they need to be educated in that sense. When they develop their relationship to God, they increase their love for self. And now we're moving into the aspect of knowing yourself. And the more that they become comfortable with self, who they are, build up their faith, keep their prayers, things like that, that actually will branch out into the people that they correspond with. And so that's how the neighborhood also can definitely become a part of their growth and their development. But that first aspect should be teaching children to develop the relationship with Allah or God, or if people pray to their ancestors, to develop that relationship, know that there's something higher than themselves, and to know and seek refuge in that when there comes problems. And I don't know, or trials, I don't know if we're going to discuss those types of things, but I definitely wanted to mention, I definitely agree with our panel.
Oh, absolutely. So now, you know, I have, my oldest son is 30. So I have 7 children, 4 grandchildren. But my youngest son is 12. So when I talk to him now, I talk to him, I say, well, son, when you get your family, you do this. And your family will expect this from you. And when you have a son, you can say to him like this, that, and the third. Now, I was raised in a single parent household, so I didn't have a father figure growing up. Now that I became a father early, I was a single parent as well. So I'm able to pass on fatherhood to my son now, was that done for you when you were young? Were you taught that, or when you had your first child, did you have to learn like most of us did? You had to, you know, it was on the job training. And how was that experience for you? You know, were you afraid? I mean, when we look at sisters, to be honest with you, we don't see y'all as afraid when these things are happening. You know, we just see she knows what to do. So I'm just really wondering, you know, were you afraid, or were you prepared, or what? You know, anybody can speak on it if you would like.
I'll speak.
Yes, ma'am.
For me, just being very transparent, I had my first baby, my oldest girl, when I was 20. And the baby girl, who is 5 now, I had her when I was married and I was in the Nation of Islam. She was born in 2016. So there's definitely a difference. There was definitely a difference. And not just because she was my 4th child, but because all praise is due to Allah, the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was a different person, literally, figurative and literally. My mindset, I mean, from before conception, my mindset was different. My eating was different. So my decisions were different. And there was the pregnancy was different. It was a whole different experience. And so I was able to mother to her in a different way that I didn't know how to do when I was younger. And so for me, it is so important, as all of the panel has stated, about that relationship, having that relationship, because I grew up in a household where both of my parents were around. They were married, and, you know, people used to call us the Cosbys. You know, my dad would answer the phone, Jones Residence, can I help you? So, I mean, like, it was that type of typical, you know, family. And my mom, very beautiful and a very, very wise woman. There were certain things that I did not know, that she did not know. There were things that were not taught to us because, as we know in the teachings, we were not taught how to be women. We weren't taught how to be mothers. That stuff was taken from us through slavery. So as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us of going to the root, it's hard to kind of bypass that as if that didn't have an effect on who we are and what our role is. And for me, it was joining the Nation of Islam and learning exactly what Sister Anita said, who I am, who God is, who the enemy is, the time what must be done. Those knowledges allowed me to be a different person. And when life came from me, praise be to Allah, I was able to train and teach her differently. And so for my mom, of course, you know, she didn't know because her mother didn't know, because her mother didn't know. We go back and we get slavery. So we just always have to keep that in mind, and always strive to do better and be better, to find knowledge, to find ways to be better and do better. because it's out here, you know. We really, as a community, is what I'm speaking of now, as a Black community, we have to do better and step up as women, Black women, and being mothers to our babies, because we're losing a lot of them to the world. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you for being transparent. Would anybody else like to speak on that?
This is Cecilia. I definitely have to say that I thank Allah for my path and journey, because I was adopted, me and my two brothers, and my adopted parents were very much hands-on with training us. And at 9 years old, I never forget, one day I was cleaning the kitchen and I half did it. And my mother looked at me and she said, you can't do half behind stuff, because one day your husband ain't going to put up with this. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, I'm 9 years old. What are you talking about? You know? So it was always teaching us how to run a house, especially me. I was the only girl. I was the oldest girl. So I was trained to, you know, iron clothes. Like, my parents would go away for vacation, where they had the adult trips and they had the family trips. So for the adult trip, she wanted all her clothes ironed for her trip. So I'm sitting there ironing clothes. So the more we can train children in the process of what they need, life skills necessary for them in their day-to-day life. And that's what my mother and father gave us. And we grew up in the house where I had my mother and my father. And I thank Allah that my husband grew up where he grew up with his mother and his father. So we both had that mother-father relationship where we were able to see, and people are going to teach us two things: what to do or what not to do. So as we look at our lives, the people in our lives are going to train us in something. Is it positive or is it negative? So I thank God that through that training, becoming a registered Muslim, it was such an easy process, because so much of it my mother had entrenched in me as a little girl growing up. And then for me to be married at 19, people ask you, like, how did you know you was ready? I said, I don't know how I knew. I just knew that when I came in the nation, you know, we no such thing as boyfriend and girlfriend. You are looking for courtship. You're looking for marriage to start a family. And we thank Allah that through that process, when you talk about, again, teaching and training, coming in the nation, I didn't know the way of doing it by our nation standards of doing and raising, but the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, how to give birth to a God series. I recommend that to every person on the planet. I don't care your color, whatever. That series helped me as a young mother to do what I did not know what to do. And because of that series of listening to those CDs, and at that time it was the VCR. We had the VCRs, young people. We had the VCR. You know, and listening to the lecture. I tell every married couple now, and even our young children who we're preparing, let them listen to that. Because when you talk about learning who you are a God, not a nigga, not a coon, not a shine, not a jungle bunny. I know they use the N-word all the time, and that's what our children think they are. That's their greeting. What's up, my nigga? What's up? No, you are a God. And to listen to that series, it's just was phenomenal for me and my family, because again, we have 6 children. The oldest, he will be 29 come April 7th of this year, and July 4th of this year will be 30 years of marriage for me and Brother Marcus, by Allah's grace. And again, we cannot give it to what our parents instill, but it is the way we have been taught in the nation that is our success. I can't say anything else. I tell people all the time, you look at Sister Cecilia, of any benefit, I have to give it to my parents and give it to what we have received in the nation of Islam.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sister Waikiti, do you have anything that you like to add?
I actually forgot the question. I'm just listening to Ambassador because it's just so, they're
Yeah,
they're
it's rich.
sharing so much of truth when it comes to the level of preparation that we have and that we're given in the Nation of Islam. I have 4 children. I don't think I shared that. I have 4 children myself. The eldest is 20, I don't know, 24. And so I've been married for 24 years by Allah's grace. And I was sharing that with my husband that when I came into the nation as a teenager, and we have 2 totally different classes, and we're also prepared 2 totally different ways. I understood the importance of coming and presenting myself as a student and coming to learn in the class because we're given a lot of practical application. If our training unit is how to keep house, then we're taught how to keep house. You have, classes where we may have ironing and cleaning and knowing what products to use. And on the other side, on my husband's side, you might have something about how to be a father, but it's no real practical things that are set up in structured ways. So it's a lot of preparation that we receive that you all may not. And unfortunately, when you have some gaps that develop, then you wind up becoming a parent and a teacher for everybody in the house, even the adults, and have to teach them, wait a minute, hold up, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. So, I was blessed and fortunate, just like everybody else, to have my first child, being a registered Muslim in the Nation of Islam. And I know for sure that has been my saving grace. As a young parent, you don't know it all. As an elder parent, you don't know it all either. And I want to disabuse us of all of that you never stop learning how to be a parent. You never stop learning. It doesn't matter how old your children get. You're going to make some mistakes because motherhood is the roughest hood I've ever been in. It's the roughest hood because you get so many, you're faced with so many serious consequences, and I'm a human. So if I make mistakes, unfortunately, those things may carry on to my children. And so it's a strange hood to be in because it's so much responsibility. But I had to have a level of grace with myself as I would see my children are getting older, that it's important to stay a student and stay striving and stay trying to learn and evolving the way that I parent.
Yes, ma'am. As you were speaking, when you were speaking on the different aspects that you all might have as sisters and we might not have as brothers, that gives you an example. Once when my son, one of my oldest sons, he was pushing a stroller with a baby doll in it, and I said, put that stroller down, stop pushing that stroller. And my mother looked at me and she said, "What? You don't want him to learn how to be a family man?" And that like caught me because that was that's what he was doing. He wasn't playing with the baby doll. He was acting like a father. So you all have they give you baby dolls when you grow up. That supposedly teaching motherhood, or it's just giving the alluding to motherhood. We don't have anything. We would have to come up with some type of scenarios for the young boys that we teach to maybe prepare them for fatherhood. So that was a good point that you brought up. I just wanted to say that. I don't know if you all have anything besides that.
Yeah, may I share?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I think that's an important point that's worthy of commenting on, because I've dealt with that a lot, even in the school system when we're in a Muslim school, obviously. And I can remember multiple times some of the older children, playing with some of the little ones, and so many fathers. I've had this conversation with multiple fathers because they would come in and tell the boys, put that baby down. What are you doing playing with that baby? Yeah. And I'm the same as your mother. I think the whole concept of how we've been indoctrinated into a community of what fatherhood is, a lot of it is remnants of slavery. This whole concept that mothers are the only ones that are supposed to be relegated to the children because it's our unit, that doesn't excuse you from being a father. I'm blessed that my husband early on, he wanted to be extremely involved. And even though he was a captain in the Nation of Islam, I remember people coming and having conversations with him and telling them, those brothers are going to look at you like Mrs. Doubtfire, because you always with your children. And he's like, what kind of crazy stuff is that? Of course, I'm always with my children.
Right.
And praise be to Allah, we've never had an issue where the same connection that I have, he has independently outside of me with his children, because he was present, because he was involved.
Absolutely.
And I think that we have to change the narrative of what nurturing looks like, and that belongs to parents, period. And that doesn't have any gender specific, that it's not gender specific. It has everything to do with being a parent, certain things that children are looking for. That level of nurturing, that care, that consideration, listening, all of those things tend to be relegated to something that's feminine, but those are what parent characteristics should be across the board.
Absolutely. Sister Nita, did you have anything? Because you were shaking.
Sister, I was just really listening to Sister, and she sounds, it's just excellent what she's speaking about. I thought about when she's talking about a male image. So often, if we would in our neighborhoods, in our homes, emulate this great man in our homes, if we would learn to understand that nurturing comes from both male and female, and if we continue to do that and show our males what it means to love and care for, and that, as Sister said, it doesn't seem female if a male is found nurturing, and I totally agree. And I think when we start doing that, then we develop more of a better, I'm trying to think of words that are coming to my head, but I think our young men would have models, more models to look at, and not feel uncomfortable with having those feelings that Sister is speaking about, which would eventually strengthen our families. Because myself, I came into the nation, I was about 19, had gotten married, and didn't quite understand. I'm being transparent also. Didn't understand really my importance of being a mother. Not understanding after I think I was about 22 when I had my first child, but not quite understanding until I came into the nation the importance of preparing yourself, even if you're not even in courtship, but you're just a young woman, preparing yourself for that ultimate of getting married and having children, but preparing yourself. I didn't learn that at first. I didn't take it as serious as first, to start preparing yourself early, the thought, the relationship. I keep saying with having with God and depending on that relationship over the relationship with maybe the male you may be interested in. And afterwards, maybe going through some trials and errors, I began to see how important it was for my self-development. I had to be, even when we definitely had the units in our MGT, we'll learn certain things. But one thing that I really enjoyed was how to care for our husbands. And often the sisters kind of flocked to the classes thinking that was going to be probably the end all of showing us how to relate to our husbands. But actually, it really showed us self-analysis, how to work on self first before anything else, how to love self, how to get rid of the fears, how to increase our faith. And all of those things are extremely important. So when we do meet this mate, hoping that he is actually doing those type of things for himself, we are yoked and yoked properly. So I was just thinking of, just a couple of things that were coming to my mind that I definitely wanted to, just express. So I might have been off a little bit, but I definitely express the importance of yourself together, because that I didn't actually learn to a little bit down the line in this teaching, how important it is to get yourself together. And then you're more appetizing, and you're also able to see what in fact you want for yourself. So all praise to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. I got you, brother Kawi. I got you, brother Kawi.
And I got one too.
Look here, Jog Nation. We need you to like and share this right here. This is a beautiful conversation. It's a very important. It started out as motherhood, but it becomes a family conversation.
That's right.
That's right. Go ahead, brother Kawi.
No, Ahmed trying to get in. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
And I know, sisters, we spoke. I heard you all speaking about as we mature in parenthood, we can do better with the children that we have now, our grandchildren, versus being young parents. And I can agree with that, But my question was, with the cycles of life, studying the cycles of life and studying the children, the children's development at certain ages. When my son was 2 years old, I kind of stumbled on a videotape in the library, and it was a videotape showing the development or where the child should be at that age, at 2 years old. And it sparked my mind, but I really wasn't able to get deep into it like I wanted to. But now when I look at children growing up, I see them reaching certain ages and I watch their development. Okay, well, he's 5, he should be doing this. Or he's 15, he's going to start bucking. Or she's 16, she may start talking back. When do we get to the point where we're setting up our parenthood way in advance? The child is born, we have it all written out. We know what stages. It's not a surprise. Oh, I'm going to beat her behind because she or he shouldn't be doing that. We already knew it was coming, and we developed a criterion to deal with it before it even slaps us in the face.
May I share? I don't want
to. Yeah. Go ahead, Sister Waikiki.
There's a study guide called Struggle for Balance, because that's exactly what it is. It's a struggle. It's a fine line between making sure that you're intentional and knowing and understanding and preparing for your child in their life. You'll see that in Venus and Serena's father. He had the plan before they were even born. The mother did as well. They had an intention for their children. And because of that, they geared them a specific way. Then on the flip side, the thing that we cannot discount is that every fruit doesn't ripen at the same time. So because of that, when you start making comparisons, and by 5 years old, all the rest of the children were, they were all walking and reading, this one should be doing the same thing. I think I was confronted with my own ego very early when I had my second child, because as an educator, my first child, he was reading by 2 years old. He was in a whole lot of academic things by 4. He wound up eventually graduating at like 15 years old. But the thing is, the second child, by 6 years old, he didn't even know the signs, the sounds or nothing. I just couldn't get him to read. I couldn't get him to do any of the things, and I'm doing the same stuff. I'm the same person. None of the environmental conditions have changed. He's eating the same food. We're under the same teachings. He has 2 parents. What happened is that the children are different. Yes, and then, of course, eventually the second one went on to surpass and do all kind of wonderful things. You cannot make your thought the primary thought, because then we take a lot out of it. But it's also a balance that you have to make sure that we are being intentional and purposeful. We do have to give some level of direction, but we cannot ever get caught in thinking that we are the ultimate driver. So in this thing called, I told you, this rough hood, called motherhood, you know, there's going to be some bumpy streets and there's going to be some unexpected turns that you're going to take. And then, of course, we can't rule out the environment and the world, and especially in this day and age, social media and all different things that they see on television and the music that they listen to. All of those things are contributing factors, and you can shield them as much as possible. However, we can't ever play God. We always have to remember that each one of these children, just like us, have their own journey. And so, again, to wrap it up, it's important that we struggle for balance, that we plan, but remember that Allah is the best of planners.
Wow.
Can I say something as well?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I just want to follow that beautiful point up with, you know, as my sister said, every child is different. So there is no blueprint to parenting or being a mother or a father. There's no guide. So even if once something worked with one, as she stated, it's not necessarily means it's going to work with the other. One of the hard truths I've had to really learn to accept is just to be what and give what I would have wanted my parents or, you know, my caretakers or whoever it was, aunties or whoever, to give me when I was at that age. Because I think that is the wisdom of the God. You know, I often tell my oldest daughter, and now the middle ones that are kind of getting up there in their 13, 14, kind of feeling themselves. I have to tell them real quick, you know, I was your age before, right? Like we're not born parents. Like I wasn't born 42. You know what I'm saying? I went through the whole process. So I've been there before. I know what you're doing. I've done it, you know, things like that. They just don't seem to get that. And so what I've had to do is to really just step back and just give them what I would have wanted to have, because now I understand and I know what they're going through. And it's like she said, it's their own journey. And as a mother, especially, fathers can be they can be a little different, but a mother, it's hard for a mother. And I speak specifically for me to show tough love because I'm the mom. That's, you know, I carried, I nurtured. So that's one of the hard truths I've had to do is kind of really just step back, you know, kind of take the tentacles off, step back and really let my children experience things and go through things. Because as we know, you know, that makes them better, that refines them, that, you know, brings out who they really are. And our role as parents is literally just to guide. As the sister said, Allah is the best knower. And at sometimes you as a parent have to give it to Allah because you don't even know what to do. You know, I don't care if you have 50 children. So just a beautiful point. I want to follow up with that. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Cecilia, you look
crazy. So I mean, I'm listening. So and again, it's just beautiful to hear we're different but so similar at the same time, and that's us as women and our journey as motherhood, as parents, is that sometimes we think we're on an island by ourselves, and I'm the only one going through this. And that's why I love shows like this, because it lets those listening audience to know that you're not the only one. And for me and my husband, by Allah's grace, it was preparation for our children to get them prepared for real life, what you're going to face in this wicked world. As much as we're striving to implement righteousness in our children, like the minister said, he said, we can't force it down your throat, but I can show you a path. I can show you a way. Like you just said, and someone posted a picture on Facebook of a father, and it was like he was stretching across two mountains, and he laid across it, and it showed his child on top of him to get across. And the minister taught us that a father is to help you to go further than we have. And for mother, it's the same thing. Like I talk teach to my sons, teach to my daughters, that we are showing you what you're going to face, not might face. You're going to face it. It's how you're going to get through it. How are you going to be under that pressure? So our dinner table was conversations on every subject. And when I mean every subject, I mean every subject that they would face child appropriate. Because again, we can't act like, okay, we're all in a perfect world. This world is wicked. We're in Satan's world, and we have to let our children see that this is God's way. This is what God wants us to do. However, in this world we live in, this is the reality. Like male-female relationships, we have beautiful daughters. We have handsome sons. And I tell my son straight up, I said, look at here. If you don't want if you're not ready to become a father, don't practice the behaviors that lead to it. That's just straight up. It's like, well, this is pleasure. Everyone's doing it. Like, yes, everyone is doing whatever they're grown enough to do. But at the end of the day, it's teaching our children, if you do the cause, this is the effect. And Brother Ishmael said it so beautifully this Sunday. We have a standard that we have been taught. God's way is our standard, that we're being taught to follow that path. And we have to give room, like you said, excellently. Everyone will do their own thing. But I put in my children one thing was, I'm not forcing you to do any particular career. I want you to develop what you, like the minister said, whatever you are born to do, you love doing it, and you could do it for free. That's what you was born to do. That's what I put in our children. Whatever it is that you love, that you want to do it to the best you can be. But why? Because you belong to God and you are the best. Knowing yourself, no matter what we teach, to let them know that it's not God, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. After God is you. And when we let them know that you are a direct descendant to the creator of the sun and the stars, once you tell him, filling their heads with it, because what we're taught, once you give it to them, they going stray, but they going to come back. We all stray from whatever our parents told us to do. We strayed. So what do we look like being so hard on our children? Because like now, our children are young adults. And someone said on Facebook, they said, you don't pray as hard as you pray till your children become adults. I said, that is so true. So true. You pray harder as they become adults. Because I told my children, I said, I wish you were little, because at least you had to listen to me at that point. Now you're free to do what you want because you are young adults. You are adults. And it's like you just have to sit back, and the prayer is, Allah, just protect all. This is my prayer every day, to protect all of our children in this world, because there's so much coming at them. And as mothers, as fathers, we have to ask them, how you feeling?
Come on.
What you thinking?
That's right.
How are you feeling with what's going on? What's pressuring you? We have to have these conversations with them, because again, you seeing a new world going out and a new one coming in. And the pressure of the change. Like Brother Ishmael, if y'all didn't listen to Brother Ishmael's lesson,
I did. It's very good.
We share that with everyone. The pressures of this change. If we are not connected to God, Allah, our creator, we got to ask our children, how you feel? How you doing? If we're not having a family meeting or even a family dinner with all of our grown children, every month, come on home, everybody, come on in. Let's all have dinner at someone's house. Let's come together, see how everyone's doing, because we got to be so in contact with our children and our great no one has blessed us with grandchildren yet, so we definitely look forward to that, inshallah. But we're not putting no pressure on nobody, because again, you got to be ready for
that. God, praise Allah. Oh, this is good. You had some out, man?
Yes, because
Okay.
I'm glad that Sister Cecilia touched on that, because the next thing I was thinking of was the joys and the pains. Like when we were reading your bios, sisters, me and Brother Jack had a conversation because we had to write bios, and eventually we had to take our bios to our mothers, like, because it knows us better. You know, it's almost
Don't be
like
telling the secrets, man. Hey, don't be telling the secrets, man.
you know, you want to go over that because she
Yes,
knows
sir.
you. She watched you. She watched you develop over the years. So it's almost like, you know, the mother said, "Well, I knew you when you was a snotty nose," you know. But now that you watch the children grow and develop, and you have such a strong connection with them, what are some of the struggles when you see them go? When you see them go the way that you want them to go, and then sometimes you see them go the way that you don't want them to go.
I mean, it's pain. I understand. It's like looking at what, like the business, like I compare it to like God, and I'm looking at it like this, like, man, you rebel against God. Just imagine how God feel when He's teaching you the right way, and you have the free will to do what you want to do, and you go contrary. And it's like looking at your children to see them what you think. Now, this is the key part thing. What we think is contrary, they might be on the right path, that God is leading them, allowing them to make certain mistakes to get to where He needs them to be. The prodigal son wouldn't have been the prodigal son if he stayed on that right path. Sometimes people have to go through hard knocks, and as
Right.
parents, it's very painful, because I can speak for me. Watching my children make certain decisions, I had to go to prayer and keep my faith in Allah, that Allah, they belong to you, and you will guide them the way you want them to go, whether it's by your active or permissive will. But once I make that prayer in whatever the situation is, I have to let it go, because the stress of trying to control or even help grown people, you go great and kill yourself early, stressing over adult children, grandchildren. And that's all I can do is pray, and Allah, they belong to you. I'm just here to assist you with this person as best I can. And now we're just advisors and here to assist. So that is painful, and I have to be honest. It is painful, but again, they belong to God, and God is going to lead them the way that we know not.
Absolutely. Okay, now Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch had an idea, and he said that this idea will last 300 years until someone intervened. But his idea is that the woman will make the girl independent and will make the boy dependent. I'm cutting corners. But I want to know, do you recognize that in your motherhood, or in teaching your children, that you treat the girls different than the boys? Is that a reality for us now, in this time, or have we overcome that? That's anybody. Anybody can grab that.
I don't think we necessarily have overcome it, but I'm thankful for a man like Minister Louis Farrakhan in our midst, who is definitely training men to be men and what that definitely means. So I'm so thankful for that. But there was an old saying, and if you remember, we kind of train our girls, love our boys. You know, it's all in how, once again, you design or plan in your home. Do you differentiate chores? Let's say all children should have some form of chores and responsibility. And if they don't, you're not, to me, parenting. They have to have some kind of responsibility and chores. But are we doing that in our homes? Are we making girls, you know, we have to look at self. Are we making girls more responsible for certain things, and we're dismissing the brothers? So now we get back to how we are developing these boys. You know, the boys that we said we didn't want to play with dolls, that's very similar. Now we're differentiating between what the duties will be or what your roles will be. And yes, then there is a form of Willie Lynch there. When you come into this knowledge, as all of us have bear witness, and you're taught differently, then you begin to try to change those things that you have done in the past. And I think with that change comes our teachings, and it breaks that mold that was once there. Now, of course, some of our people still, but it's programs like this that begin to inform people of there being something different. So now you can be inquisitive. Okay, I heard that panel. I want to learn more about what I'm talking about. I hear there's a male's class or a female's class. There's a junior FOI. There's a junior MVP. So I think little by little, programs like this are breaking those chains.
Absolutely.
I really do. So Willie Lynch will only be sort of a thought that was once around, but now there's a different mindset. And I think our mindset is here with us in the Nation of Islam and what we're going to and helping out. So I think broken.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else want to comment before we? Okay.
Before we make our daughters take out the garbage now.
My son cut the yard. All right. So okay. Go ahead, brother. Hold on, brother. Kawhi, I got you. When Sister Wakiti was speaking earlier, and this was early on when she was talking about maybe the husband coming home, grabbing the remote, and immediately my mind went to communication. And you know, as young parents, I guess at some point when it comes to fatherhood and motherhood, we have to communicate our fears, our these things that we are insecure about with raising children, or just talk to each other more so we can have a better understanding of how you feel in your role, how I feel in my role, what we can do better. We just have to have an open communication. So how important is that in a marriage, that we can have a communication on fatherhood, motherhood, and different things of that? You know what? Just to think about it, I don't even think me and my wife ever really had that conversation. Just, you know, because my children with her, these were her first children. So I don't even think we really had that conversation as I'm thinking about it. So how important is that?
Brother Jackie, you said something very important, and I really was listening very hard to Sister Cecilia, because the one thing you said was communication. Another thing that Sister Cecilia said, that her family gets together and they communicate. So during that getting together more often, you're setting the plans and the goals and things like that. You're putting them in place. But when we have succumb to not communicating with one another, many of us don't even come to dinner and share the dinner time with one another as we had done in the past, which was an excellent tool for communication, finding out what's going on with that individual, what the progress is. Some things have regressed. Let's finish, let's change it, whatever it may be. We don't even spend the time, maybe a pause and come together and communicate. Unfortunately, we succumb to technology. And most of the time, you may see families spending more time on their devices than they actually do coming together and communicate. Communication should take place in those family meetings. And that's where you do get an opportunity to share some likes, some dislikes, and wants, some plans, some goals, but we don't come together enough. And I think we want to, really be careful that we're not the authors that, left our post. We really do. We look at our children, how much time, and I know we're in a busy frame of mind, but how much time are we actually spending to find out those things that Sister Cecilia was explaining about our children? How much time are we taking? So those conversations, like you said, Brother Jackie, that you didn't have, they would eventually come up.
Absolutely.
I would like to speak on it too. And just really, this kind of really follows up with the previous question as well. But I think about, when I came into the nation, when I got married, I have one son and 3 girls. So for me, I had to learn to back off and let the father be the father to not only all of my children, but my son especially. And I think that, yes, ma'am. I think that, the minister talks about the male, the importance of the male's role, and that he has an X and a Y chromosome. So he has that feminine and masculine side. And I believe that, the Willie Lynch syndrome is very real, especially with everything that they're doing in the food and in the water, and to really, where you have this, just tremendous amount of just chaos going on, with LGBTQ and all that. I mean, it's a lot. And so everyone's confused. They don't know what or who they are, or who they're supposed to be. And so I believe the importance of having that father there, but also allowing the father to display that feminine side, especially to the boys, to let them know that that's okay. My husband told me not too long ago, he said, have you ever heard that song by Music Soul Child, Teach Me How to Love? And we sat and we listened to the lyrics, and I was like, and he basically told me that that's what he wanted me to do. He wasn't shown that. And the song says, he was taught a real man was to never cry, and that's how a lot of us, or especially our young boys, have grown up and are growing up. And just to speak to the communication, again, it goes back to kind of allowing him to make his presence known as the father. Mm-hmm. He's a protector. He's a provider. There's a certain role as a father that he has in the household. And the children have to be respectful of that and acknowledge that and know that. And so, it's tough for me sometimes because our parenting styles are somewhat different. And that's where the communication comes in. Right. For me, it's not a big deal if the babies come down and, look in the refrigerator and see what's in there. But much like Minister Farrakhan, my husband's like, well, no, we grew up where you better not touch the refrigerator. Like, you have to ask to open the refrigerator. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is really like, not like that. Something. Yeah. So there's some things that, we have to communicate and kind of struggle for balance, find that balance. So that, because children are very wise and they know how to play, starting with 2 years old. They know how to come and say, Daddy said I can, because they know that you're not communicating. They're watching. So it is very key to communicate and be on that same page and just again, always work for the balance.
Oh, absolutely. Did you have some, Sister Wakiti?
I was just going to say, when you talked about the importance of communication, I believe Sister Anita shared early on about the importance of women knowing who they are first before you merge with someone else. And I think that is extremely critical going into a relationship, because the way that we're taught and the way that it is, the woman usually plays the subordinate role, and my husband, of course, is the superior within our home. He's the final say for sure, of course. So he represents Allah. The thing is, though, there was so much freedom and love in our home that I was able to communicate if I felt like he didn't, if he wasn't doing a specific thing. And because of the example and the way that our environment was, the children grew up doing the same thing. So they were able to have a level of freedom in the way that they expressed themselves that was extremely different, just as Sister Tadidra shared, because it's like when my parents come, it's like, you let those children talk to you any kind of way. I'm like, what? I'm the disciplinarian. I'm really not at all a person who would allow any level of disrespect. I deal with children all the time. But in the old days, I guess, the level of freedom and communication wasn't something that was really, really open. So I'm grateful for the family meetings. I'm grateful for, the Sunday dinners and having dinner time, because we do get an opportunity to communicate about what it is that we would like to see from each other and from the children, and the children do the same. They get a chance to express how we're not serving them in the proper way, or if they're feeling a certain way at home, or if they feel like something was unjust. And so creating an atmosphere and an environment where people feel free enough to communicate without being shut down, I think is also important.
That's rich. Go ahead, Brother Kawi.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Well, what I noticed, everybody on the panel is married, and y'all raising your children with your husband. What we haven't addressed is single parents. I don't even know if you can talk on it, but I know I have a lot of single parent friends that, because they have to work, because they have to, be the breadwinner, and they got to have babysitters, or may not have the relationship that I guess they would have if they had like a husband that was able to handle things. In terms of that is concerned, what advice could you give to a single parent in terms of trying to keep the relationship as crisp as what I'm hearing between you four right here?
When you say it's crisp, what do you mean? Is you're talking about a relationship that's cohesive between parent or mother and child, or what specifically?
Well, what I'm hearing is that the relationships that you have with your children is strong, real nice, open communications, and a lot of times the parent may not necessarily get that because they have to deal with the world. I mean, for lack of a better term, and then they have to come home and I got to deal with you now, and I got to get the discipline part right first, and they may not get the chance to build a relationship part because they have to get that order right.
Yes. I remember, I grew up in a single parent home, and I just have to say for sure that it starts with a level of love. I think children always know and understand that. There are so many instances of children being in parents being in a home with two parents and not feeling loved at all. There are many times where you have children who have two parents, and I see it all the time in education. A lot of my students come to me and they live double lives. They do things that their parents have no idea that they do. I don't think it's about the quantity of parents. I think it's about the quality of the parent that's inside of the home. And my mother was enough for me and all of my siblings because of the way that she presented herself when she did have the time. I understood that she worked 3 jobs, but the times that she was not, she was present and she was full on. And even when she wasn't in the house, she was still in the house. I still felt it. I still felt everything. Even when she would go, she would call and say, "What are you doing?" I heard that when I walked out of that door and I went to work, you went back inside and you put some lipstick on and you went out the door. But she had neighbors, we had cousins and family. I had a village. And that's important. None of us are supposed to do this by ourselves. Even with my husband and I, we have an open community of support. And you can't have ego that's strong enough to say that you don't need it. I rely on the sisters in the mosque. I rely on my family, my blood family. I rely on friends. I have multiple mothers. I have multiple grandmothers. My children have multiple godmoms and god uncles. And sometimes uncle can say things that my husband can't say. Sometimes auntie can say things that I cannot. So it just depends on the quality of parent that's in the house. If they're feeling it with love, then I believe that's sufficient.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay. Cowie? You good, Cowie? Are you on mute, sir? You're a professional, brother. You on mute.
Yes, sir. No, I said that was a beautiful answer.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm asking, did the other sisters want to chime in on that? Or some experiences they might have had with sisters that's single that needed some advice or whatever?
Well, I would just want to add to that. What Sister Wakiti so beautifully said is to not become overwhelmed. That is patience, and to be patient with yourself, because it's not easy being a single, a parent. It's not, especially if you have one child. But if you have multiple children, it's not easy. So, along with everything Sister Wakiti said, just making sure that you're taking time out for you, because there's no way that you can pour into someone else, of course, if your cup is empty. So that goes back to what we were saying earlier about making God, Allah, Jah, Buddha, whoever it is, make them center in your life, make them the focal point, so that you get your strength and your energy and your guidance to be able to give that love to your children, because like Sister said, they can definitely feel it. And that will make all the difference. But just to stay strong and to be patient with yourself in the process. And because I just want to just recognize and acknowledge that I know that it's not an easy task, to be a single parent.
Man, praise Allah. That's rich. Sister Cecilia, you was trying to speak earlier.
Yes, sir. I can definitely say being a manager over a team, and it really did, it opened my eyes to see that other side. Like you just said, for a lot of us are married on here with husbands, but to see, I tell my children all the time, I said, thank Allah for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, because for 20 years I was able to stay home and take care of my children full time. And I tell anyone that have that opportunity to take advantage of it, because it's such an enrichment to your life to be able to do that. And then to see the other side where you just said, where you have people who have no family they can trust, because you don't want to give your children over to anyone in this day and time. So we all should look at how we can assist, how we can make like Sister Wakiti just said, an extended community that you can trust of people, especially when you're a single mom with sons, following up with strong men in the community, taking them to church and getting with the deacon or the pastor or a men's club or a boys club, something that helps them have a relationship with as you perceive as a parent, to be a good FOI, fruit of Islam. Take them to the mosque, bring them to the mosque. Bring them to the FOI class where, make all men and boys join the FOI, because the training that they receive is to help them. And you have to make an extended community to help us, because even as married mothers and fathers, if some of us are honest, sometimes we feel like we single by ourselves at times, and you're married, And to go back with what you just said real quick, to jump into the genders, we're taught that. I tell people all the time, listen to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And when he talks about male, females, he always says, in the nature in which Allah created you, the nature. We can do whatever we want, but we were born with a nature, a female nature, a male nature that God created for purposes in our natures. And like you said, with certain roles you can't get away from. I know brothers want to go 50-50. I hear the 50-50, but God made you the hunter. God made you the provider. Well, why I got to do that? Go to God with that question.
Right.
Go ahead.
Looking at you, because by nature, God created you to be provider. He created you to be Khalifa, to stand in the place of God as your head of your household, your family. And in order to do that, men say, well, you can't control a woman. You can't do this to a woman. She won't submit to me. Ask yourself, are you submitting to God? Because if you submitting to God, if you submitting to a higher power, guess what, brother? The secret is she gonna submit. She gonna be able to listen because she see that you connected to her creator. And when she sees that, it's automatic. So for all of us, yeah, there's specifics to our roles. It's definitely specific. Because you have some brothers, I don't care how strong they are, they ain't gonna sit there and be looking at no baby throwing up and do pampers all day. You got some who tell you straight up, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. So definitely it's communication all the time. But yes, all of us, please, in this day and time of stress, of anxiety, of depression, of frustration, reach out for help to somebody and let them know I need help. Sister, motherhood, call somebody. Sis, I need somebody to help me for the day. Can I have a play date with your children? We do this together, because again, all of us are being stretched to the max and we need help. And there's no shame in reaching out for help and finding out what's available in your community for that help.
Come on.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Thank you, my sister. Well, look, brotherhood is no 50-50. It's 100-100, brother. Praise Allah. Well, listen, Jock Nation, man, we've had a wonderful show. We're gonna go ahead and start we're gonna land this plane. So we're gonna go around the room, and if you would like to say, give us some closing remarks, we will appreciate it. I would like to start with you, Sister Anita. Closing remarks, please.
Yes, I've been just echoing it, that, just continue to understand that there is no God but Allah, and to make sure that you're continuously teaching your children the foundation, which is to send them to Allah God and teach them proper prayer. And this way they will be able to get through some of these trying times for them, these challenges that they face. Proper prayer is just so vital. Their relationship to Allah, which sometimes they can't even come to you. But if they have that relationship with the God and these tools that the teachings have given us, that would help them to make some of these crucial decisions that have been faced upon them. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely. Allahu Akbar. All right, Sister Tidra X, would you like to give us some closing remarks, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Doc Brothers. I have really enjoyed this. My beautiful sisters on this panel. It's just a reflection of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have to, all of those viewers who are watching or listening, whatever the situation is, whatever you may be going through, whatever you have a question about, just YouTube that subject and put Minister Farrakhan. And a lecture will come up with that specific, I don't care what it is. Yeah. I don't care what it is. If you don't believe me, please try it. I want you to try it. Because it will come up. And he has given guidance for everything that we could possibly go through.
Everything.
Male and female. Everything. So, I also want to thank my parents because, being a mother myself has really given me greater appreciation for my parents and what they went through. To the point where, and I don't consider myself, I wasn't a bad child, but, I didn't always hear and obey either. So, just the stress and the worry that I may have caused them from not hearing and obeying. And my mom would always used to say, she would say, well, you'll understand it by and by. You'll understand it better by and by. And I used to be like, whatever. Okay, I don't even know what she's talking about. I had to call her and say, Mom, I understand better now. I understand it. Yeah. So thank you, my parents. Thank Allah for my parents and all that they've done and just appreciating them more as I go through my journey of being a motherhood. So again, thank you for this beautiful show, and the topic is so relevant and needed. And I just again implore everyone to please listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he has guidance to get us through whatever we're going through. So thank you.
Thank you. Excellent, excellent. Sister Cecilia, your closing words, please.
Yes. Again, thank you. Again, it's always a pleasure to come on your show for the relevant topics to get it out to the public. And I'll say again, just like my sister Tidra just said, go to YouTube, and I'm going to tell you specifically which one to listen to first. What is your role? By the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Go right now, today, tomorrow, this week. What is your role? Go to Final Call, storefinalcall.com, and get How to Give Birth to a God. Because if we are parent, rearing children to become parents, we have to understand how to give birth to a God. And again, we thank you. If you're in need of marital counseling, pre-courtship, engagement, then please give me and Brother Marcus a call. Brother Marcus's number is 770-256-8856. That's 770-256-8856. Again, we're out to help you to do what? Fight for your marriage, prepare for marriage, prepare. Thank you all again. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Well, you want to give that number again? Our engineer, I don't know what's going on with him.
One more time.
Where's our engineer?
Yes, you can reach Brother Marcus at 770-256-8856. And again, we do marriage counseling, pre-courtship, pre-engagement. We do all of that to help you. That is the correct number. So you can give him a call tomorrow. Don't call him tonight. Call him tomorrow to schedule your session. Love to assist you. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you. And the engineer, he almost got it. Don't worry. He got some concrete shoes for this engineer over here. Sister Waikiti, would you like to close us out? Please give us final words.
Yes, sir. Thank you all so much for having us this afternoon and this specific topic. The important last piece that I would love to share that I may not have shared is, while you're praying for your children, don't forget to pray for yourself, especially as a mother. Don't forget to strengthen your own relationship with God, because that is what gives you the bandwidth to handle everything else. That is what gives you the level of understanding that you need. That is what gives you the patience and the grace with yourself when you do make mistakes as a parent. And that is also what keeps you in a level of humility. So when your children make mistakes, when you make mistakes, when your husband makes mistakes, then you're not beating yourself up, because you understand that ultimately Allah is always in control. So pray for the strength to see things the way that Allah does, and remove our ego from out of the way. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, my sister. All right, Jock Nation, you know we got to hear from the two co-hosts. Let's hear from Brother Kawi. Brother Kawi, what's your closing remarks, sir?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to thank our sisters for coming on. I mean, I learned so much. I mean, y'all really dropped too much information for me to hold. I have to look at the shoulder and try to take the notes. The passion, man, I don't know where to start. I mean, every one of you brought a different intelligence to motherhood that I never considered. I don't know what we're gonna do as fathers. I mean, we got a big work to do, but the mothers, I mean, y'all, you know, we everybody love their mothers. That's not gonna never change. I love my mother today, and she's been away from me for almost 15 years. I know very little about my father, but I know he was a great man, but I don't know much about him, except for I know he was a provider. But with my mother, I mean, it's just a different love I have for her. No disrespect to my dad, and listening to you, kind of like, you know, kind of made sense of why I felt that way. So keep doing what you're doing, mothers. You know, and if there's any mother out there that's really struggling and trying to figure things out, this is a great show right here to just take notes from. So thank you, sisters. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Ahmed, final word, sir.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank all the viewers for viewing and all the sisters for coming on. You did an excellent job in getting out. And I'd like to thank my mom. You know, she always taught me by her actions how to respect women and how to respect her. And, you know, even till today, we have very in-depth conversations. And I always admire her point of views and her wisdom. And I don't take it lightly. But two things that some of the sisters had said that I wanted to address it earlier about finding out what's in your community. You know, sometimes like my parents worked a lot, so we were kind of left to deal with things on our own. But yeah, find out what's in your community. There's help out there. There's events, there's programs. Sometimes it takes you to what the sister said. Stop and just focus for a second. Take time out for yourself and develop that. Look for the help. You can find it. It's out there. Allah's going to help you. Once you take one step forward, He's going to bring the help to you. So the help is out there, and just do the research. Just do the research. But that's all. I thank you all for joining on, and we'll probably be calling on you another time soon about subjects like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Jock Nation, this was a serious piece. I want to thank you all, our guests, for coming on. You all did a wonderful, wonderful job. Gave wonderful information. I thank you for being transparent. I thank you for sharing your truth, unadulterated. I thank you for everything that you gave us today. And this was a very powerful piece. So, Jock Nation, I just want to let you know, for those of you who just logged on, I will have these videos for $19.99 out of the trunk of my car, because this was just a wonderful teaching piece. You should like and share. You should go to YouTube, download it, and share it with some of your friends. Share it with our sisters. Let them know where they can go and get help. I mean, they can go to YouTube, How to Give Birth to a God. They can go to What is a Role, and they're also invited to the MTT. So definitely cut, paste, and share these videos with our sisters and our brothers so that we can make a better home. It takes a village to raise a family. So thank you once again, Jock Nation. And like our brother said all the time, yes sir, brother Kawhi.
I was just looking for that A from Sister Anita for our children. Looking for that A.
The A?
The A.
Oh, the A.
Yes.
Well, they gotta tighten up. They gotta take those tests. They gotta get A on their test, right? Praise the Lord. Well, look here, Jock Nation. I just want to come to you and tell you from our brother, the prophet, DJ Khaled, another one. Well, I bless you all.